Hello interwebs, 'tis I, Sebastian, and this is F3G2, coming at you live from the back of Famous Faces and Funnies, and you can watch this on Gonna Geek, and possibly be able to listen to it, because we're going to get a little more PC. Not politically correct, because I don't think before I speak, and not personal computer, because I really have no techno skills whatsoever. No. But podcast, as in, I don't know when it'll officially start, but the head geek over at Gonna Geek is going to geek this out even more. So it'll continue to be a video, but he's also going to strip out and isolate just the sound and make a podcast of it so you can hear reviews without having to look at me. Which is a win-lose because you still have to hear me. So really, I think watching this with the sound off and just looking at the pretty covers I hold up would be a lot better than having to hear me without seeing anything. But what do I know? So, let's go on. First, I'd like to introduce you to Bakeception. Say hi, Bakeception. It looks like a cupcake. It's not. It looks like a brownie upon closer inspection. You're part right. My wife makes these. This is, she calls it Bakeception because it's a dessert within a dessert within a dessert. She takes a piece of candy, shoves it in cookie dough, buries the cookie dough in brownie mix, and cooks them. I have one here because I brought them here for the store, and I don't know why I felt like showing them off, but I did.
They're delicious.
They are delicious. You know, it's ironic, the magic voice that you always hear of Dave the cameraman, he was just discussing how if we do the podcast, he would finally move to the front of the camera, which seems funny to me if you think about it. I realize it's because of the directional mic, but when there's finally an option where you won't have to see anything, he'll finally be brave enough to step in front of the camera.
Hey. It has nothing to do with the camera shot. I just don't read the books.
You're like, hey, we're going to make a podcast? I'll sit in front of the camera. Meh.
You need someone to feed off of. It's what I'm here for.
But all right, we'll start with this week's Pick of the Week, and it's Superboy. If you had watched a lot of these earlier shows, you'd be like, really? That was your Pick of the Week? Because, you know, I love old school Superboy, and New 52 has been making me cry more and more. But if you've been watching the recent ones, you know that ever since Aaron Cooter and Cooter Cutter, I still don't know how to say it, and I think I always say it wrong. But ever since Aaron Cutter and Jorge Jimenez have taken over, I've been in love with this book. I just had a discussion on Facebook today with someone who says the exact opposite as me. And I popped on to inform him, like you do on Facebook, that he is wrong.
And this is still Kent Superboy, correct?
This is still the Jonathan Kent Superboy. This is issue number 32. Look at that cover. You get like kind of a Superboy mosaic. But the other guy on Facebook had said how, you know, Superboy is kind of taking a turn for the sideways within the past few months. And I was like, no, this book started out sideways and is finally awesome. And I'm so sad that it's getting canceled, but I am buying this book again, and I'm going to love it all the way to the bitter end. And I have been. This is so good. It did throw me for a little loop with just some of the way a little exposition was phrased, so I'm not entirely certain. I think I know what it means, but
Your liking of the book does seem to be death mount.
Oh, I'm loving this. I love this supporting cast. I love the introduction of the Manhattan Guardian. I love.
What are they going to do with him after the book?
I don't know. That's what's going on. But I do love, like, if you've seen the solicits for the September issue, the Futures End Superboy #1, there are 4 Superboys counting our Superboy on the cover, but one of them is covered in like metal armor, one of them is half a robot, and one of them has a cape that kind of comes out of the S, and you know, and it's the return of Superman as all Superboys. There's a Superboy, a cyborg Superboy, a steel Superboy, and a
Eradicator,
and an Eradicator-esque Superboy. And I was just like, I was loving it. I was making many unmanly noises. But this issue was really good. You get the return of Ravager and Hammersmith and Leash of
Nowhere.
Yeah, from Nowhere. They were the Ravagers, the bad Ravagers, not the good Ravagers. It was very, again,
confusion.
Well, Aaron Cutter is doing such a great job of taking a book that has been such a hot mess and making it work. Just going, no, look, this isn't garbage. You can salvage this. He's like recycling things that I was like, what the hell is this? And really making it work. Our boy takes a sword to the face. That's not pretty. But he finds the other Superboy he's been talking to, which there's the part where it throws me slightly. I think I understand what it means, and it's still him. It's Jonathan Lane Kent, but due to time warp, he's plucked out of time. But there was a possibility that it might have been Con-El, and that was the part that threw me. I'm actually good either way at this point. Once upon a time, I would have just been clamoring for the return of Con-El. But here's the part. It says, he says, blah, blah, blah. I feel his memories, we are the same, except right before I met Khan. My old costume from before. This is not Khan, I know this. I can feel his memories, we are the same, except right before I met Khan for the first time, he was transported back to this time by Harvest. So that could go either way because of the ambiguous
wording.
The ambiguous pronoun. That could mean he, meaning this is Jonathan Kent seeing himself from right before he met Khan for the first time. So this is another him pulled back in time and now locked in stasis. Or it could mean it was, he says right before I met Khan, he was pulled back. So it could mean Khan was pulled back. But I think it's another Jonathan Lane Kent, and it's going to take two Jonathan Lane Kents merged to become one whole Jonathan Lane Kent. And that would still leave Con-El out as a herald to not Galactus, the Oracle in Superman over there. I don't know. But regardless, this is really, really good. It's my pick of the week. It's great stories, great interaction, and even the ambiguity. I like the ambiguity. I don't want to know just yet who that is in there. So even if the ambiguity is accidental, like I said, I'm good either way. If they bring back Con-El, I'm good with that. If they fix Jonathan Lane Kent by merging two Jonathan Lane Kents, I'm good with that. If they do something in the middle and kind of make a Jonathan Lane Kentel, that'd be awkward as fuck to say, but I'm good with that. I am loving this. I so hope they use this character more. I so hope that even though I know he's focusing on the writing, on the drawing for Action Comics after this is over, I hope that that Kuda doesn't give up on writing because he's done a great job.
I want that to be the Bizarro version of Jonathan Lane Kent.
Jonathan Lane Kent should be in there somewhere. I'm going to name, if I have a son,
Jonathan Lane Kent.
Jonathan Lane Kent L. Piccioni. Birds of Prey, which I bought because I don't know why. Probably because the Suicide Squad crossover. I haven't bought Birds of Prey in a while. It's good. It's not great. It is ending. And I can sort of... The thing about Birds of Prey done right should really be... what's the phrasing I'm looking for on this? It's should be the group of most badass and capable...
Gritty?
No, I'm not even gritty. Just badass and capable women ever in the DC universe. That's Birds of Prey at its heart. Christy Mark's writing, most of the time, it focuses more on... these are not... Black Canary is a confidence-shattered hull of what Ghost of what Black Canary should be. Batgirl almost seems like an afterthought. There's a lot of attention given to Strix, who I like, but you have all these other characters. And then, oddly, the one who seems to be everyone put the weight of the world on my shoulders, dependable pillar of the team, is Condor, who is like the New 52 version of Black Condor. They just sort of dropped Black. But he's like the only guy on the team, and usually there's no guy on.
No.
So it almost becomes anti. This should be the book you point to when you say this is women done right in comics, but it isn't. I mean, it's not bad, but it seems to focus more on their. I don't know. They're not. There's no confidence behind any of these characters.
Confused?
It is. There's everything that makes these characters, the solid team that they are. Instead, it's like a whole bunch of people just kind of, oh, we just fell off a boat and we're clinging to each other so we don't drown. So it's not working. They're not as strong as especially if you read, which is in here somewhere, like Gail Simone's Batgirl has this month we have some guest stars in there, and Gail Simone is Gail Simone. boom, that's them. Even when they doubt themselves, they're still 100% certain of themselves within that realm of doubt, if that makes any sense. And this just, Birds of Prey just kind of falls short of that. Huntress Power Girl, World's Finest, number 24. They're getting ready to go home. They're getting ready to go to Earth 2, which could lead to the Earth 2 build-up. It's solid. It's, I believe this is ending 2, which saddens me, but maybe they'll be part of Earth 2. I don't know.
Just use World's Finest for the characters.
But, you know, this Paul Levitt's writing, always solid. And you get guest artist Scott McDaniel, who, it's Scott McDaniel. He's a fan fave, so you may want to check that out. Avengers Undercover continues to blow me away because it never lags. We're up to issue 5 now, and each issue has been There's no slowdown. There's no, well, you know, the first 3 were great. Issue number 4 was, you know, normally you have, you know, oh yeah, I like the first one was okay. I really like the second one. You have that going on with the series. This, every issue is just solid. My only question remains, Dennis Hopeless, I know you're not watching this, but is Son of Satan, is Damon Hellstrom, is he a bad guy now? Did I miss something? I thought he was a good guy. He's hanging out in bad guy. I mean, you know, he's the son of Satan, but I thought the whole point was he was a good guy, and I'm confused on that. But other than that, this book, and there are going to be some upset people because it looks like they killed another fan favorite at the end. That's the beauty of this book, is the whole thing is like, whoa, but it always ends, it's like a roller coaster that always ends with you hit a wall. It's like, and that last loop, brick! And this issue is no different. Batman Eternal, number 10, is good, is not great. You get some Clue Master, you get some spoiler, you get the possibility that Julia Pennyworth is Alfred's daughter we never knew he had. Because there's a line where Batman says, you know, she's strong just like her father, and then she doesn't seem to know who Alfred is. She knows her last name's Pennyworth. I don't think they've mentioned that Alfred's is. Jason is assigned the task of following Batgirl to South America and keeping her from getting killed. He's like, that sounds interesting, so he's in. Catwoman and Falcone have some issues, and oh my god, Professor Pig, done right, is a worthy successor to the Joker. Who knew? Really? I didn't want to like Professor Pig, but he's got that creepy, insane factor that makes you... I even felt worried for Falcone. You know, he's like that. I don't want... No, nobody deserves to be caught by this guy.
I'm about to say, is he back to dissecting people?
He's got a team he calls his farmhands. He does some weird... only could happen in a comic book surgery where he cuts your head off and replaces your head with the head of an animal. So there's a guy with a goat head, a guy with a horse head, a guy with a chicken head, and maybe a cow. I don't remember, but and he calls them his farmhands. And he ends up catching Falcone and Catwoman, and he's like, he's gonna put a falcon head on Falcone, and on Catwoman he's like, are you more Felidae or Felinae? You know, he's like, are you more like ocelot tigress, or are you, you know, house cat? And he says to his farm, I don't know, bring me like 12 cat heads, we'll figure it out. And that's just creepy.
That's fantastic.
And then who shows up to save them? Batman. And it's like, well, I can work with this too. So it's an unfortunate, if you have an animal themed name, don't fight Professor Pig. Just don't do it.
I wonder what he would do for Moana Beast.
Yeah. Animal Man's worst nightmare. Future's End, number 6. Also good. There's a lot to be said for the pacing of weekly books, and I think the first time DC, not that these are bad, these are good, but unfortunately for DC, they did it so right the first time. Well, I guess the second time. We're not going to count Action Comics Weekly, which was decent for what it was, but wasn't the same kind of thing. And that was back in like the 80s. But when they did 52, that was brilliantly done, brilliantly paced, and unfortunately they got it. They made the cardinal sin of doing it so perfectly the first time that they can never quite recapture that, that moment. So these are good, but they're not great. You have Lois Lane and Undercover Tim Drake having a discussion there. You have Martian Manhunter getting involved in some things, and it's just they do go into the what do you call it? They go. I think Martian Manhunter gets involved in it. Yeah. No, I lied to you. It's not Martian Manhunter. It's for some reason I forgot. It's Superman, but helmet Superman, where nobody knows who's in the Superman. The Superman I dress like Wildfire kind of Superman of 5 years from now. But also you have the Atom leads the crew from Shade into the Phantom Zone, where it turns out there's a lot of people in the Phantom Zone that must have gotten thrown there in that little 5-year gap, including everyone's favorite evil Shazam counterpart, Black Adam, chilling in the Phantom Zone, unless he's about to escape, which he might be.
So,
all new X-Men shouldn't be possible, but the son of Xavier, the son of Xavier and Mystique, and that's the Xavier from the future.
Oh Lord!
And the son and his half brother, the son of Mystique and Wolverine, have just become two of my favorite. They think they're anti-hero, but really they're pretty much villains with noble intentions. Characters. I don't know how he did it. I don't know, because Bendis made me really, really like these guys.
He's Bendis.
Yeah, Bendis can do that. Which, again, my review for this will be, it is all new X-Men number 28, and it is everything that his Avengers run was. And his Avengers run was good, but it was very talky and very slow. In the X-Men, he has mastered the art of talky while dewy. Multitasky. Maybe it's because they're mutants. Maybe Cap needs to, we're going to sit at a table and discuss shit. Then later, 6 issues in, we'll go do things. But his X books have been brilliant. Justice League United. Look, I got the Stargirl variant cover. They got shorted all the regular covers, so this is the only covers they had. But it's Justice League United number 2, which is the third one because there was a number 0. Is good. They're in space. Hawkman versus Bitch Lobo. And
we'll go with that.
Yeah. And I like watching Hawkman just wail on this Lobo. He even mentions, he's like, I fought the other. I thought you were the Hawkman has the distinct singular circumstance within the New 52 of he's fought both Lobos. He seems to be the only one aware of the fact that there are 2 Lobos other than Lobo. Because in his series, he fought the main man, Lobo, and now in this, he's fighting bitch-ass New 52 Lobo. And I love the art. I love the banter. It's jarring a little, but in a good way, because you read Green Arrow by Jeff Lemire, and then you read this, and it's such a different style and tone. The same character is there, but you have to remind yourself sometimes that this is the same guy writing it, which also sort of validates, is that, would he do? Oh, no, I guess he would. This is the same guy writing. But I love that just him and Animal Man as total douchebags to each other anyway. But they step up when shit gets real. The two of them go straight into so they just bust on each other in their downtime. They are very much like a we'll go with the douchier blue and gold is what they are. Original Sins, not to be confused with Original Sin. All right, Original Sins. This is like Jared explained this to me. Jared that works here at Famous Faces explained this to me as this is the AVX A plus X equivalent for Original Sin. So it's a bunch of little short stories. So in this one you get 3. You get a weird. Basically, it's just an introduction to their new Deadlock, and he's basically like, "Ooh, Deathlock. Look, yeah, Deathlock." And it's just really all it is a setup. It says, coming in October, Deathlock #1, and really, while they make mention of previous Deathlock, or they seem to insinuate that once upon a time he dressed like regular Deathlock, this Deathlock is a lot closer to TV show Deathlock. For good or for bad,
it's basically an ad.
Yeah, it's what it is. This is a teaser. There's a Young Avengers hidden in plain sight, which is funny but kind of pointless. But that's also how I felt about the latest Young Avengers series. I like the real Young Avengers. I didn't like the Kieran Gillen version, and this is written by Ryan North. I don't know who that is, but it's very much in the tone of the Kieran Gillen version. Had some moments that I thought were pretty good. But, and this is ongoing, this story will continue because it's them versus the Hood. But in and of itself, it did nothing for me. And then there was a Lockjaw story that's a one-page thing that should have been so much better than it was. So there's that. Although X-Men again, I'll go with the same review. I don't know why that's in there twice. Hey, look, I told you back, Rosie. So well done. There's guest stars. I'm gonna spoil them for you, but first let me. It's
number
this Batgirl number 32. It's a new 52, so most of them are all gonna be 32s. This aligns itself now with the Batman Eternal timeline. So the cops are not being supportive of the Bats, and her dad's in jail. So she's pissed. Plus, she's dealing with her boyfriend, the one who her dad shot. He was a criminal, it's okay. Is suing, or plans to. But Nightfall, the twisted guardian, she's evil, but she thinks she's noble, of Gotham City, decides, no, we're not going to have somebody sue this noble man as he's already down. So she sends someone in to persuade him to drop the lawsuit. And Batgirl is now caught up in there has never been a more conflict of interest than she's trying to save the man that from a threat that's supposed to stop him from suing her father, even though she loves this man and her father and doesn't want the man to sue her. So and she hates the person who's trying to stop. There's no clean way to go with any of it. But it's really, really good. And in the end, we get some guest appearances. Are you ready? Ready? There's 2 shocking guest appearances. She needs some help. So she makes a call. And who shows up? 3. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Black Canary. But who do they meet for the first time? Who comes together for the first time all over again in a Gail Simone book?
Oh, please, please.
Telling everybody I'm not really from around here. You can call me the Huntress. Yeah. Yeah, we've got Batgirl, Huntress, and
Black Canary.
Black Canary.
The original bird.
One page, one splash page, and 1 page of dialogue and 1 splash, and we've already got more what feels like Birds of Prey than the Birds of Prey book does right now. So, So that's pretty good right there, and I can't wait for the next part of this. That's already fantabulous. All new Ultimates. Go yell at them. All new Ultimates number 3. Better than the first one. Better than the second one. Ultimately, it's a lot more action, a lot more lifelike going on than I felt it did the first time. A lot happening. You've got Scourge. You've got what looks like Bombshell is up to stuff, but it turns out she's on a secret covert operation with Spidey. And then you've got, you know, Kitty and formerly Spider-Girl, now Black Widow, and Cloak and Dagger, all starting to get involved in the Scourge storyline. And it's good. It's good. I like the new Ultimate stuff. WILDFIRE, really good, little heavy-handed, interesting art. It's almost
#1.
Yeah, #1. It's almost animated looking, and yet kind of weird airbrushed looking, and it's some of the faces and whatever. It makes me think of like animation from like Disney's Gargoyles, but the storyline is interesting enough. They're people trying to perfect a way to genetically alter food so that the food will grow faster so that we can feed more people. They haven't perfected it yet, and the problem is they can't get it to stop its accelerated growth. So what happens is it grows to full capacity, blooms, you know, produces its fruits and vegetables, and then instantly withers. So they want it to get to that point and then slow down to regular, so that otherwise, you know, you've got to eat it that second or it's rotten. So they decide, since they're supposed to come out with it, but it's not ready, they decide to pick a plant that naturally withers fast anyway, so that this way no one will necessarily know that they haven't perfected it yet. So they go with, of all things, the dandelion. And unfortunately, an activist comes up on the stage, yells about how this is dangerous, security guards push him, he bumps the case, handful of seeds get out. The next day, there are dandelions all over Los Angeles because they're growing, blooming. And the problem with dandelions is as soon as they die, those seeds are everywhere. So it's just dandelion gone crazy, and they're like, "Oh shit! You know, this is only going to get worse from here." So it's pretty good. Little heavy-handed at times on its
morals.
Yeah, on its, you know, eat healthy and don't fuck with the environment. Cause in the back it sounds a lot like my wife. It's got this whole thing about GMOs and, you know, genetically modified organisms, and, you know, and this whole, and you know, it's not overly heavy-handed. It's just when you have a wife who keeps telling you to eat organic and eat healthy, you don't want to read that in your damn comics. This is where I go to get away from that. Superman, Wonder Woman, #9. Some more Charles Soule in the world of the Doom story. This is Enemy of the State. Inside Clark's head, it's Clark versus Doomsday. Outside, it's Clark versus
anyone in his way.
well, no, he's trying to rein it in, but the problem is some of the people that are supposed to be helping him are not doing such a great job of helping him stay calm. All right, first off, Wonder Woman has taken I forget this chick's name. There's what does she call her? Hesia, who's a healer on Themyscira. She brings her out, only she goes on the attack instead of trying to heal Clark. She's like, look, I'm also trying to heal the world, and that means this beast has to die. And Wonder Woman's like, but look, he's calm. And then Hesia reveals a little something. She was like, yeah, you think he's calm? Reveals a little something that pisses off even the Clark part of Doomsday, and then he goes kind of nuts, and she, uses that as valid. See, he can't be trusted. At which point, his cousin and the Red Lanterns show up. So you've got like Red Lantern, Supergirl, along with Guy Gardner and Zelia Zox show up. And there was one moment they immediately go on the attack. But then when Clark attacks back, suddenly Kara's surprised, like, stop, Cal, what are you doing? It's like, you attacked him first. That dialogue makes sense before you punch, not after. But now the Red Lanterns are tracking. Clark gets control back. And then, it looks like the Red Lanterns are, I don't know if that's going to continue into action. But, because there is the Supergirl tie-in, and there is the point that the way Guy has been running the Red Lanterns, they're not crazy rage monsters. They're master your rage, channel your rage, and use your rage. Be mad for the right reasons is like the mantra of the book at the moment. So they could potentially help Clark deal with the doomsday rage inside. So
that would just be an interesting addition to his power set.
I want I want at least 4 issues of Doomsday Superman hybrid with a Red Lantern ring, please.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That would just be, and then have boom tubes open up and Darkseid's like, I'm taking over this Earth, and just Doomsday Red Lantern Superman just beats the fuck out of him, knocks him back through the boom tube, and like takes over Apocalypse, and everybody's like, now what?
I want that as a clip.
I think that could work. Sixth Gun, number 41. If you've ever seen me review a Sixth Gun, you know this is like my favorite thing ever, and most of the time I review is, read this, why the hell are you not? But this one right here is a done-in-one little, we're in between storylines, and this is the origin of General Oleander Bedford Hume, who once brought the guns together and tried to destroy the world, and whose mother is the evil Grey Witch. So this is an origin of both him and more an origin of her, but you get his origin along the way, or at least, part of it. And this is so good. Basically, how do you know if something is good? Hint and a half, there are 2 things. If it says Cullen Bunn is writing it, or if it says it's from Oni, those are usually really good books. If it says both, then it's an awesome book, and read that.
So we default to
read that. She-Hulk number 5, still really good. However, the art on this, this Ron Wimberly, it's very stylized. I like some of it, but some of it, I think everything looks too kind of. There are panels, I don't know what. Either it's just a weird effect of the way he's doing foreshortening, or Tigra and Hellcat have like Mr. Fantastic stretching powers going on, because they've got like these limbs going, and I like the original art for this series. This particular issue, not my favorite. Story-wise, still damn good though, and things get intense. We've got her looking into the blue file. Apparently, she and a handful of other heroes and villains have been sued, and none of them have any memory of this lawsuit. And she's looking them up, but it turns out that's a trigger. When you mention the guy behind the lawsuit, people tend to go kind of nuts, and she doesn't know this. Hellcat finds it out the hard way when she mentions it to Tigra. She's on the phone with Wyatt Wingfoot, and her Angie and her monkey, the paralegal that works for her, it's an actual monkey that works with this chick Angie that is her paralegal.
Monkey.
They are potentially in trouble. There's a great moment with the Shocker, and the greatest line ever. She-Hulk kind of exasperated and answering someone as to, when someone asks, how you doing, and she goes, well, the Shocker just taught me a life lesson. So it's come to that. So there's like a whole conspiracy on an X-Files level around this file, and it's pretty damn good.
That's just terrible out of context.
Nightcrawler number 3 continues to be gorgeous Todd Knock artwork, and continues to be decent but typical Chris Claremont writing. I like and dislike it for the same reasons. For the most part, it's its own thing. I mean, he goes to the Jean Grey school occasionally, but for the most part, there's nothing really tying this into anything. It's its own little pocket corner where it is still 1985 in the Marvel Universe. Because the good news is Claremont did manage to pull back to when he was writing really well. The thing is, he literally pulled back to when, and it just seems like, so it's good.
But out of place?
But yeah, it just doesn't, it seems antiquated and anachronistic. Captain Marvel, Kelly Sue DeConnick is knocking the fuck out of this book. She kicks my teeth out every damn time. This is number 4, and I love it. even though, you know,
And this is Captain Marvel
there is an
Bebop.
alien who wants to be called Bebop. This makes me happy in and of itself. But everyone is against Captain Marvel at this point. Everyone thinks she has an agenda that she doesn't have. All she's trying to do is help, and everyone is acting like, you know. And of course, Carol Danvers, not known for her patience, especially when she's trying to do the right thing and people keep trying to stop her. But in the end, she kind of brings everything together, and you get Star-Lord's dad being a douche as usual, and yeah, it's Kelly Sue DeConnick has written the Captain Marvel Star Wars. It's basically Carol Danvers and a ragtag group of space misfits trying to save the day against Jason's, you know, evil galactic empire. Is brilliant. It's brilliant. Real Heroes, number 3. All right, this is the one where the actors of an Avengers type movie called The Olympians get pulled into a world where it turns out all that shit was real, but those heroes are dead. They team up with the greatest villain, who actually says, look, yeah, I actually want to try and work and save the world, but then the robots don't respond to anything and are destroying the world anyway. And now it turns out they do. While they're in this world, they had, unbeknownst to them, they actually do have the powers. They just don't have any of the motivations, know-how, or real heroic tendencies. So they kind of step up a little bit, but they getting their asses kicked, and the kid with the speed powers just hits the ground running, literally, and is in like another. He just runs and runs and runs and ends up running himself back into trouble. But really, really good. It's basically, yeah, imagine if the cast of the Avengers got kidnapped to an alternate world where they actually had to be the Avengers.
Pulled into the 616.
Which it's written by and drawn by Brian Hitch. So, très bien. The Royals, number 5 of 6. Ooh, can you say betrayal? I know you can. Shit turns Game of Thrones in here. People die. Betrayals are done by people you would not suspect. And yeah, shit gets real. This is a world where all the royals in the world have powers. Only royal blood have powers. Weaker royal lineages have less power. But now there's World War II, and at first the powers stayed out of it. But one of the princes of England got involved, and that brought all of them in, and now shit's gone to, you know, it's gotten a mess. Once you have, like, you know, Japan is one of the bad guys, and they have these things called dynasties, which means they got some seriously powerful royal blood. If you're like, I'm the king, you're like, well, I'm the emperor, 400th in my line. Well,
damn,
that beats a British lineage. Yes, so it's complicated. But as I said, the baddie in this that is revealed to be not someone you would have expected of being a threat for either side, much less being the betrayer. And it's shit's gonna get real next issue. Forever People, Infinity Man and Forever People number 1 was good. It was funny where it should have been. It was good. It's a decent introduction. And oh my God, Keith Giffen does the best way to describe this. Keith Giffen's art in this, while on the one hand it is signature Keith Giffen, on the other hand it is, if they made like a Jack Kirby based animated series, that's what this looks like. This looks like a cartooned Kirby, which is still very Giffen in and of itself. And there are some pages that are better than others, but it works. It reintroduces. I always loved the Forever People. I don't know why, but it reintroduces them, sets them up within the New 52, puts them on Earth, and it's mostly set up. It's good. However, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. It's Infinity Man, the Forever People. It is a Dan DiDio, Keith Giffen, Kirby property done for the New 52. My prediction, just like we've seen with other, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to have a strong little cult following, and it's going to make it for somewhere between issue 8 and 21. Probably closer to like 12 or 14, but that's really all it's going to last for, because that's what happened with OMAC. That's just kind of the way this goes, and I'm already kind of sad by that, because this has a lot of potential. We'll see where they go. Original Sin Mighty Avengers number 11. Right, so this is the Mighty Avengers Original Sin crossover. Luke Cage and his dad have a conversation in which it turns out that one of the things the eye showed Luke Cage was his dad had his own Mighty Avengers back in the year I was born, back in '72. And they were a little more Supernet Blades on the team. Kalu is on the team. There's also a reporter and the Blue Marvel in plain clothes, because he's been forced to retire from the Blue Marvel as per his miniseries already. And Luke Cage's dad, who was a cop. And some other chick who calls herself the Bear. Which just sounds very 70s. I was waiting here. She's hot, so BJ and the Bear takes on a whole new meaning.
So wrong.
But it's a supernatural blaxploitation detective story that ties into exactly what's happening to Blade now, which sets us up for there'll be another part of this, because when Luke mentions to his father that the Deathwalkers are what Blade was dealing with now, he goes, Dad's like, they're back? He's like, whiskey's in the kitchen, get 2 glasses and sit your ass back down here and listen. This shit you need to hear. Alright? So Papa Cage got some stories to tell. Hulk number 4, so good. I'm gonna be so sad when Wade leaves this book. I'm gonna stick around a little bit to see how it goes without him, but really I'm just gonna be devastated. Banner has been shot in the brain. His brain is fixing itself every time he turns back to the Hulk, but it's not fixing itself correctly, because the Hulk's not really known for his brain power. So while the Hulk heals fast, it's healing more Hulk way. So every time he hulks out, he runs the risk of just healing his brain badly. And that's exactly what happens. But Iron Man is on the case. But oh my God, there are some extremely tense moments and some extremely heroic moments. And just a lot of great Iron Man, Maria Hill, Captain America dialogue. Figment of your imagination. Figment number 1 is good, but not great. The art is good, and the story itself is good. However, it's more of a Dr. Dreamfinder is more of an inventor who's not following his dreams and is accidentally dreaming things while he's supposed to be working on. And I don't know, when you go to the Epcot Center, right, you always kind of get the feel that he always stepped right in and knew he was going to be the imaginator that he is and start up his Imagitorium and all his imagination. And this is more accident, and it just, I don't know, I wanted it to be more Epcot ride. I was there when that thing opened. I had a million, but I was, I was like in the first wave of people to go to Epcot. We used to drive to Florida and make sure. Now I live here, but we used to drive every summer. So I had Figment shirts, stuff. It was like my favorite thing in the world.
I still got
because there was really nothing else at Epcot, so I had tons of it. So I really wanted this to wake up that inner child love of this guy, and instead it made me go, this is elements of fun, but a lot less fun than it should be. And I don't know. Bloodshot versus Hardcore, number 23, really, really good. Shit comes to a head and leaves things in kind of a state of flux with the Hardcore Bloodshot. So I'm wondering where the book goes from here, because Bloodshot and Hardcore are kind of 2 separate entities at the moment, and I'm wondering how long that'll last. Blackout, number 3 of 4. I love this book from Dark Horse. Guy gets his hands on a suit that allows him to travel through a pocket dimension of pure dark and cold. He has difficulties with the suit, and he's trying to find out what happened to his uncle who was working on stuff with this company. In the last issue, he was locked in the darkness dimension. The suit ran out of power. Turns out the suit can charge itself by stealing power from anything, and when he tries and is disappointed to discover there are no bars in this other dimension, but he's got the cell phone of the girl that he's running these experiments with, all of a sudden the phone goes dead, and he's like, no, that can't be. Boom. The thing goes from, red means it's out, green means it's good, and yellow means it's part way. It got just enough of a charge. He was able to open the door and get the fuck out. But that's also a great power to have in a world where most of the powers are technology based, and you can just kind of, you are like, a non-lethal, the Parasite from the Disney. You can just walk up, oh, you're in like armor? You're like an Iron Man? No, you're not. Haha. So that's cool. Being Puppy Cat number 2. Just weird. A lot of stuff that didn't do anything for me because they're working on fixing music boxes, and like every page has one of these. I don't have a phone. I don't have a smartphone. Well, I have a smartphone, but my smartphone's been lobotomized. I don't pay for the plan because I don't use that shit, and my eyes suck. I'm not gonna be able to see anything on a tiny little screen anyway. So I couldn't do any of this. It did nothing for me. So I got each page of these different whatevers, and ultimately the reason I get this book is I just give them to my daughter, because her name is Bella and we call her B, and so B and Puppy Cat, she gets a kick out of it, but it does nothing for me. Archer and Armstrong number 21 was so good. They are still in this like retro church cult, but all the dead icons are there, and they can't move on to their version of heaven until no one remembers them. So you've got like this one guy who's about to get pulled out because his last fan just died. But when the bartender mentions who he is, Armstrong, who's immortal and been around forever, goes, yeah, I remember him. And the door slams shut, and this guy can't move on to his heavenly reward because he's got someone who remembers him again, which pisses off all of these icons that want to get out of there, which include, let's see, just that I can name off the top of my head. They include, I see John Lennon back there, I see Michael Jackson, I see Sid Vicious, I see, looks like it could be Hendrix.
There you go. They're sound clips.
I figured they were, but I couldn't get access to them to whatever. It may even be as recently as that looks like, what's his name? Philip Seymour Hoffman, Freddie Mercury, and Andre the Giant. All these people are there pissed off that they can't move on. They even end up, things you never thought you'd see, Archer and Armstrong in a fight with Bruce and Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee, just to make sure you know, you got that's who he's supposed to be. Not wearing the makeup, but is dressed like he was on the set of The Crow, and even throws out the "Mother is the name for God on the lips and hearts of all children" line, just so you know it's him. Bruce Lee's in the classic yellow jumpsuit with the black stripe, and they just come martial arting, and it's crazy. You've got the greatest conspiracy theory ever for they meet Lee Harvey Oswald, who shoots Jackie Kennedy, who's waiting because her husband is up there. He and Bobby have the eternity to just sleep with like Marilyn Monroe and celebrities. And according to Oswald, the president hired me himself. I was only supposed to hit her, She was going to tell the press about him and Marilyn. He's like, I can't believe I missed 3 times. Then they get attacked by an army of Lee Harvey Oswalds because in this world, there is one for every conspiracy theory out there. So there's one, they're just, I killed him for Castro, I killed him for Khrushchev, I killed him for the Mafia, I was the lone gunman, I killed him for the CIA, I was the decoy, I killed him for the CIA and the Mafia, I killed him for the Pentagon, and so on and so on. And so there's just tons of these, and that's what they're fighting to try and get their way back. And then there's a sort of surprise at the end, but it is so freaking great.
Oh my god, I'm gonna sit down.
Amazing Spider-Man Learning to Crawl. I like that. It's weird. There's moments, the way Slott sets this up, there are moments taken directly out of early Ditko Lee Spider-Man comics. And this is what's happening in between, you know, while Spidey's doing his Spidey thing. This kid that was his biggest fan. It's almost like if you saw the new Spider-Man movie, Electro was like, in the movie, is a huge Spider-Man fan, is excited that Spider-Man talks to him when he saves his life, and then the next time he sees him, Spidey doesn't remember, and he feels betrayed. That's pretty much what goes on with this Clash guy. And Peter is just, it's the Parker luck. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and it's getting Peter more and more pissed, and he ends up taking it out on this one guy that if he had just been nice to, would not end up becoming a supervillain for this story, and instead he's going to. Pathfinder #2 from Dynamite. Continue to love this. There's the wizard gets left behind as everyone else starts on an investigation for someone killing clerics of I forget her name, but of their main of their main cleric's little faith. So you've got this whole murder she wrote thing going on in the town. You've got the wizard left out and trying to find out where everybody is, mostly hanging at the bar with the bartender. And then you've got kind of a lover's spat between two of our characters here. Is good. The Blood Queen #1. I didn't like it. It's my whole review for you. The Dresden Files #1. From what I understand, this is a new original story, so this wasn't one of the books. It was good.
The show.
And it's the art is really good. Very stylized, but I liked it for this, and it worked for me because I've only read like 2 of the Dresden books, and I watched the show, but I don't know enough to so there's no, is this out of character or where does this fall in Dresden continuity? For me, this was just a good story. And all right, I've rambled on to you enough. I'm gonna eat this Bakeception. I'll see you later, interwebs.